Okay, we are now live. Gloria, go ahead.
Great, thank you, Greg. I'll call the Tuesday, April 21st, 2020 Upper Arlington Public Library Board of Trustees meeting to order. I would ask for a motion to pass the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? We're getting the, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? The motion passes. The next on our agenda is public comments. And I think we can dispense with that. Next is the Assistant Director's Report. Kate?
Okay, we talked about, we're actually on page 18. We talked about eliminating this new patron status way back at the March 3rd Operations Committee meeting. So a few of you have heard about this before. We've had a new patron status when someone would initially sign up for a card that had limits on the number of like CDs, DVDs, and new books. But this has been quite a few years, and those things aren't quite the resale items that they were back then. So there's also streaming options now, and times have changed. We also do shared patron access. So the thinking is we want our patrons who come in and register for a card to have all the privileges right up front instead of being limited to just one or two, new items and that kind of thing. Anecdotally, the circulation staff have shared that sometimes there's disappointment when a family come in, gets the cards, they've got their stack of movies and CDs and things, and are told they can only take 2 of each. So we want these first time experiences to be more positive. And since times have changed since this new patron card was established, we're proposing and recommending that we just eliminate this new patron status, and anybody who comes and registers for a card from now on would be at the full access.
Okay, thank you, Kate. Do I have a motion to pass the resolution?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion?
Sounds good to me.
Good. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? The motion passes. We'll move on to the director's report. Beth? Oops, uh-oh, we can't hear you.
I'm looking for the quarterly staffing report. What page is that on? I don't have it printed. I'm looking at it digitally.
Oh, 23.
Oh, thanks, Kate.
Mhm.
All right, so let me scroll down here a little bit. So the 2020 personnel costs for the first quarter, we have a budget of $4,344,341.74. The actual expenditures were $1,058,156.47, about 24% of our staffing budget. As of March 31st, we have 121 permanent positions and 3 open positions for a vacancy rate of 2.48%. First quarter turnover, 2.7%, and this percentage was based on 3 position vacancies by resignation. So positions unfilled as of March 31st, we have a full-time cataloging position and a part-time shelver. So we did fill 2 positions as the library was closing. We had filled the graphic design and digital marketing creator position that was recommended and approved by the board in January. And we also filled a part-time public services associate position in youth services. Those 2 positions, they have not started as of yet, but they were made an offer. Candidates will begin these positions once we reestablish an open date for the library. So that is our quarterly staffing report. Any questions about that?
No.
Okay.
Sounds good.
I apologize for my clock in the background. So my director's report basically details the timeline for the COVID-19 pandemic. talking about the week of March 15th, when Governor DeWine announced several decisions to slow the spread of the coronavirus, talking about some of the recommendations by the state. And then on March 19th, the OLC Board of Directors recommended that public libraries temporarily close their buildings to the general public to ensure the safety and well-being of library patrons and staff. And so far, all libraries in Ohio, aside from I think one that I know of, is they're completely closed. One is offering curbside service, but most libraries are not. On March 25th, there were a couple of acts that were signed into place. One was the emergency relief, HB 197, and then the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security CARES Act, which is going to come into play a lot when it comes to relief for staff that are impacted by this and businesses. So our library closed beginning Saturday, March 14th, and we're considering reopening when the stay-at-home order is lifted and that we can do so safely. We're taking recommendations from the governor, as well as Ohio Library Council, and coordinating our efforts with all of the other libraries in the Central Ohio Consortium. Our tentative scheduled open date is Monday, May 18th. If the stay-at-home is lifted, some staff may report to work on May 4th. And we're working on curbside delivery during that time, but a lot of that is going to be dependent on the recommendations by the state. We're working on an administrative pandemic plan as well as a reopen strategy. We're going to be putting in place a lot of the same things that you see when you go out into grocery stores and local businesses, as far as the plexiglass and social distancing measures. Those are all things that we're working through as a team and coming up with a plan prior to staff returning to the building and before we are allowing people back into the building. There was a press release that was sent out today from the IMLS, the Institute of Museum and Library Services, that they are working with Patel on testing materials, library materials specifically, on how long the coronavirus lives on those materials, so that we have a specific time frame for when we need to have libraries materials quarantined. We know that when we start accepting returns back into the building, that those materials are going to have to stay quarantined for a period of time. We just don't know how long that is. There is no definite answer for that, but hopefully we'll find out very soon. The second thing I have in my report is in regards to the budget, which we're going to be going into detail. Basically, the long and short of it is that with the loss of state revenue from businesses being closed, the library's revenue from the public library fund, which comes from the state, will be impacted. We've already seen the state public libraries as a whole, the whole entire PLF dropped 7.7% last month, and that was only a couple of weeks of closure. So we're anticipating about a 30% reduction in the public library fund. We've worked with budget managers to decrease our library materials budget for the rest of the year and other expenditures for the rest of the year to decrease the impact that will have for us. But we know what we are going to have to make. We're recommending additional reductions to our budget in the salary and benefits line, and we can talk about that later. In the meantime, the good news is that we are offering some services. We implemented an online chat service. So we're staffing that during the week, and we have a few hours on the weekends. So if patrons have questions and they want to talk to a person in real time, they can hop on our website and talk to our staff, which is excellent. And the other exciting news is a lot of our staff for programming have been very busy doing virtual story times and putting together videos for tech help. And those are all available on our YouTube page, and we've highlighted that on our website, as well as links to our digital resources. So we're still providing Overdrive, Hoopla, Canopy, all of our databases are still there. So there's lots of materials and things that patrons can access, even though we're closed. That's it for me.
Great. Okay, thank you very much. Beth, any questions, anybody?
Not yet.
Okay, next is the Finance Committee reports. Let's see, do you want to start, Lori? Or I know we have March and April meeting minutes.
Well, before we get to the minutes, I just wanted to update you on some of the financial information. As we said in April, the PLF, we received a little over 12,000 less than we anticipated. As we look to May, if there is a 30% drop, we stand to lose a little over $83,000 for the month. We do have 6 months operating budget. I know that was a concern for some. We do have that. But again, that was going to hold true that our revenue is stable. We do have the money and we draw down from Star Ohio to continue operations, but of course, we're going to make the cutback so we do not deplete what balance that we do
Would you remind me, what's our balance? How many months?
have. We were trying to hold more than 3 months. We have at least 6 months right now.
Okay, thanks.
That we have.
Okay,
I have drawn down from Star Ohio, but remember, I did put all of our tax settlement there to that. One thing that we are planning on not doing at this point is making the $300,000 transfer to the building improvement fund that we make yearly. We're going to hold off on that as a cushion for our expenditures. I did get some good news today. We will be getting the homestead and rollback tax from the state. That is the credit that they give for homeowners that are seniors and disabled, and they give the 2.5% owner credit. So they said we should receive that by May 6th. So that'll be a welcome addition to our revenue. Peter, if you want to talk about the minutes, or I can continue on.
I don't think Peter wants to talk about the minutes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I sure don't.
Old habit. Sorry, Kevin.
No, that's all right. We have had 2 meetings since our last board. The March meeting was quite mundane compared to the April meeting. We talked about various items around cost-saving initiatives. Talked about the need to replace the van that the library has now and ways that we might go about doing that. We got an update on the youth area at the Tremont main branch and how that initiative is going. The April meeting really focused much more on the budget issues that we started to talk about here and going into some detail on how we might address those. And I think we'll save that discussion for a little later on in the meeting.
okay.
One thing I did want to add is we do have a resolution tonight, a financial resolution. It's just to renew our insurance contract with Oasis Trust for our dental insurance, and the premiums will not increase. We will need to do that tonight, and it will renew starting July 1st.
That's good news. Do I have a motion to pass the resolution?
Move.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? The motion passes. Let's see, next is the Operations Committee report.
We met twice. Obviously, we met in March, and March's meeting was a lot more fun than the April meeting. In March, we got an update on the play area, mostly on the financing of the play area. We're in good shape there with funds being raised for it, and there are some schematic drawings that were shared with the committee. We had as part of our discussion of the strategic plan, we saw a draft of the strategic plan, but as part of that discussion, Beth pitched an idea of forming a new committee, the Fundraising Philanthropic Committee. I assume that's still being discussed, but probably not top priority right now. The most of our time in the April meeting, it was not a very long meeting in April, but most of our time was spent talking about what programs and services we would be offering during the closure and preliminary budget issues and considerations and our strategy for reopening. Most of the same topics we've been discussing today at our board meeting, and I assume we'll be talking about in executive session as well.
Okay, thank you, Peter. Any questions? Okay, so now do I put it back to you, Beth, or, okay,
So the next item on the agenda is under President's report to go into executive session to discuss compensation for public employee. So if you want to call everyone in, Gloria. I think it's everyone but Allison.
okay. All right, great. So we want to invite everybody to stay except Allison. So do I have a motion to enter into executive session to consider the employment for public employees?
Gloria, one moment. Just before you do that, I'm obligated to announce to anybody watching our feed that during the executive session, the feed will not be live. We will be starting a new feed on the YouTube channel as soon as we return from executive session. So please keep your eyes on our YouTube channel and you'll see the new feed pop up once we return from the meeting. So with that, Gloria, just let me know when we'd like the feed to stop and feel free to proceed.
Okay, thank you, Greg. Okay, so do I have a motion to enter into executive session?
So moved.
Second.
Seconded.
Thank you. So Allison will do a roll call, please.
Okay, Gloria,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Kevin,
Yes.
Stephen,
Yes.
Kate.
Yes.
Okay. We're good.
Okay, thank you. And we'll give Greg a couple of seconds or minutes here.